from the U.S. Department of Justice. Very serious way to start the show, Gordon. So we have the first person being charged under this Rodchenko Act, which came into effect in 2020, which assigned prison sentences for people, non athletes, who were part of a doping operation. And the Department of Justice released a statement a few days ago that they're charging Eric Lira with distributing multiple performance enhancing drugs in an effort to corrupt the 2020 Olympics. And it focuses on two athletes here. And in the release, it's listed as athlete number one and athlete number two. Now, you do not need to be an expert with Google to figure out that athlete number one, the identity is Blessing Okagbare. Basically, gives all the information in terms of how she was disqualified in the midst of the meet. And then they release text messages. And in the text messages, there's times, very specific times that are mentioned there that obviously indicate that it is Okagbare. Don't know on athlete two, so we'll wait on athlete two for a little bit. But first of all, what was your reaction to reading this? There's a whole 10-page PDF going into the investigation. It appears that by making this a criminal act and involving these bigger players, that it's going to have an impact in terms of punishments and enforcement of anti-doping regulations throughout the United States as it relates to these global competitions.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because when you think of the FBI, like we've never considered doping a crime in America, right? It was just cheating on a game. Like
Mhm,
you just it's a crime. It's a crime within the it's a rule breaking. It's not an
mhm,
actual law breaking. There's a difference between breaking rules and breaking laws.
yeah.
Um, so it is kind of weird, like why, like the FBI involved with something like this. Um, I guess this is why they're doing it because I think people who are out there considering or currently doping,
Mhm,
they see this and then they'll realize, oh shit, I don't know if I want to risk jail time. I'm willing to risk being banned from the sport and just retiring. But I'm not sure if I'm risking going to jail. Um,
well, this isn't
and
impacting athletes, though. This is just the athletes are exempt from this because I think the idea is they'll get their punishment within the course of their sport. This is targeting the
no,
people like Lyra who are providing the drugs.
yeah, well, I guess I'm the accomplices of the
Yeah,
athletes
yes,
are
yeah,
going to be thinking, no, I don't want to do that. You
yeah,
figure it out on your own.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's just a unique term because we knew this was going to be a thing because they made this announcement a few years ago that they're going to start
Yeah.
treating it as a crime, and now that we're seeing it in real life, it's like, all right, this is real. This is going to happen. It's going to keep happening. Like if this happens again, if there's another person who is caught with steroids or HGH or whatever, they're
Mhm,
going to have to deal with it. It
mhm.
makes me think like, well, is like the FBI, not to get off topic here, but like, is the FBI going to look into like Shelby Houlihan and the Angelone thing? Like, figure out where, like, put an investigation into the burrito place or put an
Mhm,
investigation into her text messages to
mhm,
see if she actually was not getting it from a burrito and getting it from somewhere else? Like,
mhm.
is that going to start happening? Like, are these FBI investigations started for every positive doping case that has been going up for the past 12 months, 16 months?
What well, I think what it does provide, though, is if someone does test positive, I think they're gonna wanna at least have a conversation with them and find out where they're getting it. Because the goal here, it's not you don't want the low level people, the people just using it, you wanna figure out how vast it goes. And the reason it's a law, it's kinda interesting in the PDF, they trace it back because like, basically, they're saying it's defrauding the public because it's gotta be this global event, and then it also has to be a global event, it said, where there's, like, US sponsorship money involved, right? So they're basically saying the people who are providing drugs are corrupting this competition that you and these sponsors, have invested in, and that's how they're able to write this law. So I don't know to what level of detail it's going to go to, but when I first read it, and I read the brief before I went into the PDF, I thought, okay, well, she tests positive, then she gives up the information. But it's much deeper than that because it involves another athlete whose um, property was photographed by individual one who we don't know who that is. And then that information had the defendant's name on it. So it was going on before there was even a positive test. There was an investigation going on much, much deeper than that. I had two big takeaways, though, from it, Gordon. One, this is a real confirmation of why the whereabouts system needs to come into place. Because if you look at, even the text messages that she sent to Lyra here, and she mentions taking an amount of a banned substance, and hey, am I okay to test? And he replied, yeah, it's a low dosage. But then the response was, I wasn't sure, so I didn't take a test. I just let them go, so it will be a missed test. So yes, there are oftentimes valid reasons for people to miss tests. People are human beings, people make mistakes. But that sentence right there is exhibit A for AIU and everybody in the anti doping world for why the whereabouts system needs to be in place, why it forever will be there. And maybe because of this, they'll even tighten it. They'll say, hey, look, this is a person who clearly was, we have the evidence that they were clearly using PEDs, and now we are going to go from 3 down to 2. I'm not sure, but at the very least, you understand where that system comes from. The second thing that I thought was interesting was a lot of times there's so much ambiguity in these cases around anti-doping because it's just missed tests and we don't have a positive test, because the substance could be cross-contamination, because someone claims they didn't know and they just got it from their trainer or their manager. This is about as clear as you're going to get with the substances that were used. You have the substances of EPO, HGH, everybody knows that. You have the clear mistest, and you have the text messages which remove any doubt that they knew what they were putting in their body. You add into it all the packages with the needles and everything. I mean, this is as clear as I think you're ever going to get in 2022 in the modern era of knowing what's going on with the doping case. So for all the ones where we don't have a clue and we're like, I'm not sure, this is a 180 on that, because what they've laid out in this document is, it connects every single dot pretty clearly here.
Here's so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of smoking guns. Like the gun is so smoking, it's literally on fire,
Mhm.
and there's no like if ands abouts or this case would be this the appeals case of this would be thrown out before they even get to say their first word because say you see this text message.
Yeah,
Hola,
yeah,
amigo. Eric, my body feels so good. I just ran 10:63 in the 100-meter on Friday with a 2.7 win. I am so happy. Eric, whatever you did is working so well.
mhm.
Eric being the guy who supplied her with EPO. So you can't really get around that. Now,
Well,
the
and then
question,
after hold on, after the test though, after the positive test, she sent another message to him, um, that says, "Call me urgently. They said one of my results came out positive on HGH. I don't understand." So yeah, before, during, after, all the connections to this gentleman are there. I would have liked to seen if he replied, or was it just like the
and
empty text bubble?
that phrase, call me urgently, I don't understand, makes me think that a lot of this anti doping, like people who supply it, communicate it to the athletes, it's all communicated to the athletes as, oh, don't worry, this won't be
Yeah,
caught. Oh, don't
yeah,
worry, this is a gray area, or don't
yeah.
worry, this is fine. Because I don't, she said, I don't understand how they found HGH into my system when I've been taking HGH for the season. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of like a delusion that you had in your brain. Like, how can you say that sentence out loud? I don't understand how they caught me with HGH. Well, you were
Mhm.
taking HGH. That's how they
Yeah,
caught you. So,
yeah. Well, and even she's at the Olympics, I believe, and she says, in Slovakia, leaving for Tokyo on Saturday. Any final word, doctor? I know we can't do much at this moment. So she's basically saying, can't put any more banned substances in my body. Otherwise, this is going to come up with a positive test. And then he said, what you did is going to help you for the upcoming events. You are doing your part and you'll be ready to dominate. So, yeah, I'm guessing she thought, hey, it should have cleared the system. And maybe, and this is the part where, hey, could they have potentially gotten away with this is just if he was better at managing the doses, right? Now, there's the second part of the investigation where they have photographs of the physical doping material in athlete two's residence, and it links back to athlete one. So there was that part of it. So they didn't really necessarily need the positive test, but that's what pushes it over.